Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to crochet this adorable granny square bag. To make this bag, you'll need size 4 yarn, and you can use as many colors as you want. You could do one solid color bag, or 2 colors, 3 colors, a rainbow bag, as many as you'd like. But I'm going to be using 3, and I'm going to be using this white, and then this really pretty pastel bluish color, and then pastel yellow. And then obviously you'll need scissors and a crochet hook. I'm using a size 4mm hook. And then you'll just need a crochet needle to sew the squares in the bag together. To start your granny square, grab your first color of yarn and we're going to make a magic circle. So to make a magic circle, pinch the yarn between your index and middle finger, wrap it around the back and make an X, and then take it to the front and put your hook under the first loop and grab the second one, twist your hook, and then yarn over to secure it. And sorry if this is a little fast, but if you've never made a magic circle, I'd recommend finding another video to do that. And then we're just going to chain 3, and this is going to count as our first double crochet. So now we're going to yarn over, go into the circle, and make another double crochet, and then yarn over and make one more. And after those, you're going to chain 2, and this is going to make our first corner. So then we're going to do 3 more double crochets into the circle, and you can even tighten the circle if you want. And so insert your hook and make 3 more double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. And then after that, as you can see, that's our first corner. So now we're going to chain 2 to make our second corner, and then put 3 more double crochets. So these 3 double crochets are kind of like the sides, and then the chain 2s are the corners. So 1, 2, and 3 double crochets, and then there are 2 corners, and now we're going to chain 2 again to make our third corner, and then insert 3 more double crochets in the circle. 1, 2, and 3. And then to make our fourth corner, chain 2 again, and you can tighten the circle at this point to close it. Chain 2, and then we're going to slip stitch into the first chains that we did. So slip stitch into the third chain at the top. So 1, 2, 3, and slip stitch in there to make the fourth corner. And there you go, that's the first row of your granny square. Now for our second row, I'm personally going to change colors, but if you're not, you can just skip this part. But if you are changing colors for your second row, grab your scissors and cut a little tail at the end. It doesn't have to be that long. And then grab your second color. I'm going to be using the pastel yellow. And you're just going to grab the tail of that yarn and we're going to put it around our hook to create a loop, and then pull this loop through the white loop. And then you can just pull both tails together to tighten the loop on the hook to make sure it doesn't fall off. So you can just pull those, and then we're going to chain 3 to start the row. So again, this chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm also holding the tails behind so I can kind of crochet over them to secure them. So I'm going to double crochet and insert into that gap, so where we made the corner. And then after that double crochet, chain 2 to make the next corner, and insert 3 more double crochets in that same corner. And you can see I'm kind of holding the yellow and white yarn tails behind so I can crochet over them. And I find this easier than tying knots and weaving in all the ends when you're done with the square. So I'd recommend just carrying them with you while you're crocheting. And then after those 3 double crochets, chain 1 and insert 3 double crochets in the next corner. So you can see me kind of carrying the ends with me, and it can be a little annoying, but trust me, it's worth it in the end because the tails will be secure and you won't have to tie any knots at the end. So just double crochet 3 in that corner, and then chain 2 to make the corner, and do 3 more double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. And then after that, we're going to repeat the same thing, chain 1, and do 3 double crochets in the next corner. And we're basically just going to keep repeating this pattern, so doing 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet to make all the corners of the square. So 1, 2, and 3, chain 2, and then 3 more. And then chain 1 at the end, and then just repeat the same pattern for the last corner. Once you're done with the last corner, chain 1 like usual, and we're going to go into the first gap and double crochet. So go into the first little gap that we crocheted in at the beginning, and then to finish the round, slip stitch in that third chain at the top. So then you'll have 3 double crochets for that corner. And yeah, here is your second round completed, and now we're going to go on to the third round. For your third round, if you're changing colors, we're going to be doing the same thing we did in the last round. So grab your scissors and cut the yarn and leave a little tail. And then grab your next color. I'm going to be using blue, and put it on the hook to make a loop, and then pull it through the previous loop, and then pull the tails to tighten it on the hook, and then start your round by chaining 3. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to yarn over and double crochet into the first gap. So just stick your hook in that first corner and make a double crochet while carrying the tails in the back. So double crochet, and then we're going to chain 2 to make the corner and do 3 more double crochets in the same gap. So we're basically just repeating the same pattern we did in the last round with the 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochets. So after you do those 3 double crochets, we're going to chain 1, and then now we have this little middle gap, so you're going to insert 3 double crochets into that middle gap. And as you continue your rounds, there will be more and more middle gaps, so you're just going to chain 1 and do 3 double crochets in each gap. Well, here I am just doing my first, second, and third double crochet, and then after that, chain 1 again, and go into the second corner, and do 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet to make the next corner. And after that corner, chain 1 again, and go into the middle gap with 3 double crochets. And you're just going to keep repeating this until you get to the end of the row. So after this middle gap, chain 1 and repeat the corner thing, and then keep going. Once you get to the end of the round, chain 1, and we're going to be doing the same thing where we double crochet in the first gap, and then slip stitch into the third chain that we made. So the one at the top. And yeah, that's how you do your third round of the granny square. For the fourth round, I'm going to be going back to the white yarn, and so I'm just going to cut the tail and then switch colors like we've been doing for the past rounds. But if you're not switching colors, you can just skip this part. So I'm just putting the white yarn on my hook and pulling the loop through the blue loop, and then we're going to just be chaining 3 to start the round, and again double crochet into the first corner from your last row. So carry the tails with you and do 1 double crochet, and then chain 2 and do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3, and after that, chain 1 and go into the first gap. So like I said before, with each round, the number of gaps in the middle will increase, but you just put 3 double crochets in each one and then chain 1 at the end. Now I'm chaining 1 and putting 3 more double crochets in the second gap. 1, 2, and 3. And once you're done with this gap, you're going to chain 1 and you're back to the corner. So for the corner, we're just doing the same 3 double crochet, 2 chain, 3 double crochet. And you're just going to be repeating this same pattern until you get the desired size for your granny square. So at the end of each round, you're going to be doing the first or the double crochet in the first gap, slip stitch, and then change colors if you'd like, and just keep repeating the same pattern until you get the size you want for your granny square. Here's my finished granny square. I did in total 10 rows. And so once you get your desired size for the granny square, you can go ahead and fasten off. So just grab your scissors, and you don't have to leave a long tail because when we're sewing eventually we'll just use a different piece of yarn. So just fasten off and pull through. And basically how our bag is going to look is we're going to make 2 more squares and fold them into triangles. So here I'm just showing you guys the first triangle there, and then the second and third will be over there. So yeah, we're just going to repeat these rows and make 2 more of the same squares. So here are my second and third squares. So after you make 2 more, we are ready to assemble the bag. To assemble the bag, grab one of your squares and make sure it's the wrong side facing outwards. So you can see I have like my tails on this side, so I know it's the wrong side. And you're just going to fold a triangle with the right side facing inward. So keep the wrong side facing out, and you can just place that to the side, and then grab your second square and fold it wrong side facing outwards, and then grab your third square and do the same thing, and make sure all the right sides are inwards and like on the inside of the triangles. And now we can start sewing. For the sewing, cut a long piece of the yarn that you use last, so like your border color and the color you're going to use for the straps of the bag. So I'm using white, and tie a knot at the end so it doesn't come out, and then thread the yarn through your sewing needle. And we're going to start by sewing these 2 sides together, so you can just ignore that third square on the side and put these 2 sides of the triangle together and line up the corners. And we're going to stick our hook or our needle through that first chain in the corner. So stick it through just the back loop of the chain, and then stick your needle through the back loop of the chain on the other side, and then put your needle through the next back loop and sew it through the opposite side. And always make sure that these chains are lined up and that you're only sewing through the back loop of each chain. And then stick your needle through the next chain only in the back loop and sew across to the next back loop. And yeah, we're just going to be repeating this and sewing all the way down the sides of these 2 triangles. So these are what the squares look like laying flat, but after you sew those sides together, you're going to keep working on the wrong side. So just fold the triangles wrong side out, and you can see that's the side that we just sewed. And now you're going to be sewing these 2 sides together. So do the same thing and insert your needle into the first chain of this corner and just sew across into the back loops. And yeah, we're just going to keep sewing across that side, and then after that we can move on to the next triangle. So now we've sewn both sides of these triangles together, and that's what the bag will look like. And then you're going to grab your third square and just fold it wrong side out again. And now we can just do the same thing that we did for the other triangles. So grab your sewing needle, and we're first going to sew the outer edge, so like the front side of the triangles. So line up the corners and stick your needle through the back loop of the opposite chain, and just keep sewing alongside this triangle. Once you're done with that side, we can move on to the last side. So we finished that side, and then you can just flip over the bag. So we're working on the back, and just fold that last triangle or last square into a triangle, and then just sew these 2 sides together. So we're going to be doing the same thing, line up the corners and go into the back loops of each of the stitches and sew all the way across. Here's the bag all sewn, and once you're done sewing, you can just tie a couple knots with the yarn to secure it, and then just cut the tail and weave in the ends. And once you're done with that, we can go ahead and start making the straps of the bag. For the straps of the bag, we're going to start by working on the right side. So flip your bag so the right side is facing out. And here's what it looks like so far. And then to attach the straps, you're going to grab your hook and grab the yarn that you used to sew the squares. So I'm going to keep using white. And stick your hook. As you can see, like the corners, we have like these little clumps. So stick your hook in that first stitch, like the first double crochet we made for that corner, and grab your yarn and pull through, and then chain 2. And now you can go ahead and yarn over and insert a half double crochet into the next double crochet stitch. So we're just going to be doing half double crochets along this whole corner. So there should be 6 stitches in total. So you're going to keep doing half double crochets for this whole corner. My last half double crochet. And this is what the first row of our bag strap should look like. Start the second row, chain 2, and turn your work. And then we're just going to be inserting half double crochets across. So into the first stitch, and I'm going to be taking my yarn tail along with me just so I can crochet over it and not have to weave it in at the end. And yeah, just keep half double crocheting across. And you should have 6 half double crochets in total. Now just chain 2 and turn your work back to the front, and you're just going to be repeating the same thing. So half double crochet in every stitch, and keep doing this row until you get the desired length for your bag strap. And I ended up not doing as many rows as I would do for other tote bags because I feel like this tote bag looks better with a shorter strap. Here's the finished bag strap, and again, I didn't make mine that long because I feel like the tote bag looks better with the shorter one. And yeah, once you're done with the strap, you can go ahead and chain 1 and fasten off and leave a little tail for sewing. It doesn't have to be that long, but make sure it's enough to sew the strap to the other side of the bag. Now to sew the strap, thread it through your crochet needle and make sure that it's straight. So make sure you're sewing the right side to the other side of the bag, because the first time I did it, I made the mistake of twisting it. But anyway, stick your needle through one of the stitches in the strap and go through both loops this time, not just the back loop. And then go from the inside of your bag out and stick it through each stitch of that corner. So make sure that you're sewing it from the inside out so you can't see the sewing from the outside of the bag. And yeah, so keep sewing across the strap and make sure to sew into all the stitches so it stays secure. Once you're done sewing the strap, you can weave in the ends, and there you go. Here's your finished tote bag. I think this bag is so cute and really easy to make. It honestly took me in total probably 2 hours, which is really not a lot for a crochet tote bag. And yeah, I hope you guys were able to follow along and make your own tote bag. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or suggestions for my next video. And yeah, make sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.